Well, hello there, EDL 771. It's time to wrap up this fine course. And I still have some work to do in terms of writing, but I know what I know, and I'm ready to reflect. What did I learn? Well, this seems pretty obvious, but what I learned a lot about qualitative research. Going into this course, I thought I'd only be interested in quantitative design for my dissertation. But now I realize there are many topics that can only be explored through a qualitative approach. I also thought that the Hatch and Maxwell texts were incredibly helpful in understanding all these different qualitative approaches and the steps that are involved in doing a qual design. Going into this, I thought that a qualitative approach seemed like very wide open and had fuzzy edges about which steps to take and how to justify what you do. Thankfully, the two texts for the course were really helpful in guiding us into the different qualitative approaches to take for the studies that we're considering. You know what? I also learned that coding isn't as complicated as I first thought. Once I got started doing it, it was actually pretty manageable. One thing I appreciate about this course were just all the different resources that we shared in the discussion board. And Jason, I think the discussion board should have been worth more because we spent a lot of time on it. But seriously, seeing all your different resources and then your work samples was incredibly helpful. I also learned that transcription is a terrible, terrible thing, and I never want to do it again. So I'm sure that there are plenty of graduate assistants and transcription services that would gladly take my money, and I'll gladly give it to them. What would I do differently? I wish I would have done a practice interview with my protocol before I had done the one that I used for the data for this project. I feel like it went pretty well. I do a lot of interviews, whether at school or also my role on the Techlandia podcast. Excuse me. But having a practice round would have been very helpful because I know with the interview protocols that I use in hiring new teachers, I use them over and over, and I know exactly how to follow up. So that would have been helpful. How can I apply this work that we've done in my dissertation? I can see myself doing a qualitative approach for my dissertation. I'm really interested in how school leaders learn from one another, especially through digital means, and I think a qualitative approach would give some pretty good information about that particular question. What more do I want to know? I guess I'm interested in just planning and designing a good qualitative approach. I know that'll be a part of the dissertation process, but I want to make sure that I've got a real solid approach going into the study so that when it comes time to write everything up, writing the justification for my approach won't be that complicated. And ideally, I think this is part of the process. I'll have that done even before the study is finished. So thank you, Jason. You've done great work with all of us. Greatly appreciate it. And but more than that, thank you to all of my classmates just for sharing all that you have learned. It's been good. Let's do it again in the fall with Quant.